Welcome to today's Crypto Roundup, where we look at the 5 most important stories in the crypto world this week. So let's start with story number 1. One of the largest crypto exchange, or one of the top 20 largest crypto exchanges by trading volume, Poloniex, has been acquired by payment app Circle in a 9-figure deal. Now Circle, obviously being a payment app, they allow you to send money like a text message with no fees, no borders. So it's a very good acquisition by them. In a wider statement, I think Poloniex said Circle would help address customer support and expand operations so that we can continue to scale effectively going forward. As we know, recently the demand in cryptocurrencies has seen some crypto exchanges grow massively and sort of buckle a little bit under that pressure, and as a result, their customer service has been heavily affected. So I think this is a win-win situation for both. I think both Poloniex will really benefit from having additional customer service, and obviously for Circle, it's a good way into the cryptocurrency market. Now, one very interesting backstory is that Goldman Sachs, the big financial institution, is also an investor in Circle, which makes this a very interesting move. And speaking of Goldman Sachs, that links nicely to story number 2. Sharmin Musaffara Hamini is the CIO of Goldman Sachs, and she has stated that in our view, we believe that in our view is Goldman Sachs's view is that cryptocurrencies in their current format are in a bubble. Some of the interesting parts to this story, and the link will be in the below the video, is that the company does recognize the potential of the blockchain technology, but she went on to compare the current situations in cryptocurrency and looked at it like she compared it to other bubbles like the Nasdaq in 2000 and the tulip mania of the 1600, and describing cryptocurrencies as astronomically more of a bubble, which is interesting. She seems to have sort of contradicted herself to state that cryptocurrencies in fact make up less than 1% of global GDP. It seems to be a slight sort of contradiction. But interestingly, the growth has been very fast. It might well be a bubble. For me, this is a sort of wider sign, combined with the sort of Circle acquisition of Poloniex and Goldman Sachs being an investor. For me, it's a clear sign that the financial industry is starting to get an interest in cryptocurrencies, and I think it's particularly because they're worried regarding the development of those decentralized cryptocurrencies, which will take some of their power away. And I think they have a right to fear cryptocurrencies. Again, that's my view, and it's a very sort of interesting one to sort of keep an eye on. So moving on to that, interestingly, this is a story from the European Bank. This is a little bit older, but European Bank President Mario Draghi stated that financial institutions in the European Union are showing a limited appetite for digital currencies like Bitcoin. He said, adding, this is currently the case despite the heightened public interest and an appetite for cryptocurrencies. So essentially, financial institutions aren't particularly interested, even if the wider public are. He did say that trend could change with the advent of cryptocurrencies permeating into mainstream finance. He said, however, recent developments such as the listing of Bitcoin futures contracts by US exchanges could lead to European banks too to hold positions in Bitcoin, and therefore we will certainly look at that. Again, this just builds the sort of wider case that financial institutions are starting to take cryptocurrencies serious, and it might mean that 2018 could be the year where cryptocurrencies become much more mainstream. So again, a very interesting move, very interesting comments, and again, there seems to be a bit of a one statement that sort of counteracts what the other one says. On the one hand, he says financial institutions in the EU are showing limited appetite, and then on the other hand, he says, however, recent developments such as the listing of Bitcoin futures by US exchanges could lead to European banks too to hold these positions. So that seems to counteract each other a little bit. Again, for me, it's simple. Cryptocurrencies are becoming much more mainstream, and the financial institutions are looking at this heavily. So story 4 is about Jack Dorsey. Where is it? So Jack Dorsey, who's the chief exec of Twitter and more importantly Square, revealed that he's got plans, that the company plans to focus on developing increased options for Bitcoin. Square is currently available in 50 states in the US. And it's a cash app which allows users to carry out instant fiat transactions, free cash outs, and instant Bitcoin buy-sell options. But what he's stating there is Bitcoin for us is not stopping at buying and selling. We believe that this is a transformational technology for our industry and want to learn it as quickly as possible. What this means is that they will start building out more and more capabilities for Bitcoin and probably other cryptocurrencies, which is very interesting. Again, the wider development around cryptocurrencies is gaining momentum. And the final story is about the former chairperson of the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, which is the company that insures bank deposits in the US. Sheila Bair basically says that cryptocurrencies should not be banned or outlawed, which is something that obviously we welcome very much. Again, this shows the sort of wider interest in the cryptocurrency markets. One comment that I picked out specifically is that Sheila Bair suggested that while Bitcoin and other cryptos lack an intrinsic value, so do currencies such as the US dollar. And again, cryptocurrency lovers have said this quite a lot of times when there's a lot of question about the intrinsic value of a Bitcoin or the intrinsic value of Ethereum. But again, cryptocurrency lovers have pointed out to say, well, actually, what is the intrinsic value of a US dollar or a British pound? Again, it's great to see that such a notable figure is coming out and stating that they shouldn't be banned, and probably what this looks at is some regulation, and I think we welcome that, to have cryptocurrencies go mainstream. So it's a very exciting statement, that, and a very exciting sort of area. And again, it seems that the development for cryptocurrencies is to go mainstream. So yes, these are your sort of top 5 stories. Let me know what you think. If I've missed anything off, please leave a comment. Thank you.